He was perfect. At least that's what I thought. Mark was charming, successful, and he looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. We met at a friend's wedding 2 years ago. His eyes, a deep chocolate brown, locked with mine during a slow dance. It felt like something out of a movie. Our relationship was a whirlwind. Romantic dates, weekend getaways, meeting each other's families. Everything moved at lightning speed. Mark proposed after just 6 months. He got down on one knee in Paris, beneath the twinkling lights of the Eiffel Tower. It was magical. My friends were thrilled. They adored Mark. My family, a little more hesitant at first, quickly warmed up to him. He had this effect on people. Mark could charm anyone with his smile and his easygoing manner. I was living a fairy tale, or so I believed. Last Friday, everything changed. We were at a bar, celebrating Mark's promotion. The air buzzed with excitement. Mark's colleagues were congratulating him, buying him drinks. He was the center of attention, and I was proud. As I watched him from across the room laughing with his friends, a strange feeling washed over me. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something felt off. It was like a shadow had fallen over the happy scene. Later that night, as things started to wind down, I found myself talking to one of Mark's friends, David. He was clearly a few drinks in. He leaned in close, his breath hot on my ear. "You know," he slurred, "Mark's a lucky guy. Not many people can pull off what he does." His words struck me as odd. "What do you mean?" I asked, my heart starting to pound. David just grinned and patted my hand. "Don't worry about it, sweetheart," he said, stumbling away. "You wouldn't understand." I watched him stumble away, my mind racing. What did he mean by that? I scanned the room, trying to find Mark. There he was, still laughing and chatting, completely unaware of the unease that had settled over me. I decided to confront him. I needed answers. I weaved through the crowd, my heart pounding in my chest. When I finally reached him, I tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around, a big smile on his face. "We need to talk," I said, pulling him aside. His smile faded, replaced by a look of confusion. "What's wrong?" he asked, concern creeping into his voice. I took a deep breath and told him about my conversation with David. As I spoke, I watched his expression change from confusion to something else. Realization, perhaps? He glanced around the bar, his eyes narrowing. "We need to leave," he said abruptly, his demeanor shifting. I was taken aback, but didn't argue. He took my hand and we left the bar in a hurry, the strange vibe lingering in the air. The drive home was tense, the air thick with unspoken words and mounting tension. David's words echoed in my head, reverberating like a haunting melody. "Not many people can pull off what he does," he had said. What did that even mean? My mind raced, conjuring up all sorts of unsettling possibilities. Was there something about Mark that I didn't know? Something he was hiding? I finally broke the silence, my voice barely above a whisper. "What did David mean back there?" I asked Mark, my voice trembling slightly, betraying my growing fear. He froze, his easy smile vanishing in an instant. "What are you talking about?" he snapped, his tone sharp and defensive, a stark contrast to his usual demeanor. At the bar, I pressed, my anxiety growing with each passing second. "He said you were lucky, that not many people can pull off whatever it is you do." My heart pounded in my chest. Mark slammed on the brakes, his face contorted in anger. "Are you accusing me of something?" he roared, his voice echoing in the confined space of the car. His outburst terrified me. I had never seen him like this. The man I thought I knew was unraveling before my eyes. He had always been so controlled, so charming. Now, his eyes blazed with a fury I had never witnessed. It was as if a mask had slipped, revealing a stranger beneath. Silence filled the car, thick and suffocating. Neither of us dared to speak, the weight of the moment pressing down on us. When we finally reached home, I knew something was irrevocably broken. The trust, the ease, the love, it all seemed to hang in the balance, teetering on the edge of an abyss. As I sat alone in the dark, the events of the night replayed in my mind. What had I missed? What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect life? Mark paced in another room, his anger palpable even through the walls. We were separated not just by physical space, but by a chasm of mistrust and fear. I looked out the window, tears streaming down my face. The future seemed uncertain, shrouded in shadows and doubt. What would become of us now? That night, I barely slept. My mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, each one more troubling than the last. Mark's anger, David's cryptic words, they swirled in my mind, refusing to be ignored. Every time I closed my eyes, their faces haunted me, their voices echoing in my head. The man I thought I knew, the man I was going to marry, felt like a stranger, a dangerous one. His recent behavior had shattered the image I had of him, leaving me questioning everything. In the morning, Mark was all apologies. He tried to brush off his actions, to make light of the situation. He blamed his outburst on the alcohol, on the stress of the promotion. He said it was a one-time thing, a moment of weakness. He held me close, his voice a low murmur in my ear. He promised it would never happen again, that he loved me more than anything. But his words felt hollow, empty. I could sense the insincerity in his tone, the lack of true remorse. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was hiding something. I made a decision. I needed to take control of my life, to protect myself from further harm. While Mark was at work, I packed a bag. I knew I had to leave, to put some distance between us. I couldn't stay in that house, not anymore. The walls felt like they were closing in on me, suffocating me with memories of fear and doubt, not with the fear gnawing at me, the unanswered questions echoing in my head. I needed clarity, and I couldn't find it there. I left a note on the kitchen counter, the words stark and final. I'm leaving. It was the hardest thing I had ever written, but it was necessary. Don't try to find me. I needed space to think, to breathe, to figure out what my next steps would be. My friends, initially shocked and confused, rallied around me. They offered me a place to stay, a shoulder to cry on. They listened as I poured out my fears, my doubts. They didn't judge me, they just supported me. Some questioned my decision, urging me to talk to Mark, to give him a chance to explain. They wanted me to find closure, to understand his side. But in my heart, I knew I was doing the right thing. I needed to trust my instincts, to listen to the voice inside me that was screaming for change. Something was deeply wrong, and I needed to get away to figure it out. I needed time to heal, to rediscover who I was without him.